because this nowadays renewables, people know these renewables. The policy which is made by what you call it as the government, that is also helping the sector, and there is a really need of increasing the penetration of renewable energy. This Adani basically works in two renewables energies. One is basically solar and another one is wind. So obviously it went up. However, you all know what happened roughly around March, month of March. So like other shares as well, this absolutely went down, and then so many skepticals were there. So here there is no role of the company. Fine. But then what happened is suddenly this company, if you see the finances of the company, they improved a lot and a lot. And that's why this is what happened. And it reached to a peak of around 420. See, starting from roughly around 44 rupees, it went to all the way to 440 rupees. It is tenfold within 1 year. So that is about 900% increase. So if you have invested 100 rupees, how much you get? 900 rupees. That was the whole point over here. Just in 1 year, no. I think there is a meme, na 15 din mein paisa double. So literally it doubled the money in 15 days. But anyway, now can you guess what happened here somewhere around May? Can anybody tell me what happened at this peak 420? Why the share started going down? Yeah, I need some answers here. Hello?
Lockdown, probably because of the pandemic.
No. Lockdown is here. Lockdown is here. 23rd March. Here I am talking about somewhere in the mid of May. Mid of May, just one and a half month back. You all know that what happened. Guess it. There are 50 students, right, or more than that. And I'm asking general knowledge questions. See, this whole course will be moreover on common sense and whatever your knowledge till first year engineering. I like to keep the things simple. You know that. Anyway,
sir, is it something related to the relations with China?
Absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. It is related with the China. But now you will ask me why something is related with the China, because Adani Green is installing the power plants in India mostly, right? So what happened is, here you should understand of course, India is manufacturing the models. It is implementing in India. However, the cell which is manufactured, it is absolutely a semiconductor product, and that is manufactured mostly by China. So whenever there was a conflict, India specially threatened and rather increased the import duties on every material coming from China, and one of our major import is the solar cells only, okay, not the modules. So this is the major problem. The prices drop because obviously your returns will be decreased because you are increasing the prices of the modules itself which you are going to install. So the whole account, the whole finances is now damaged. Now, can you understand why? But there is a problem. Still, I mean, can you go further and think? See, China and there are few countries which are the producer of solar cells. And where is the problem of India? We already have said Atmanirbhar Bharat and whatnot, but the problem is we do not have a semiconductor industry. Okay, semiconductor fabrication of cell is very minimal. There are very few companies which manufacture semiconductor. Majorly China, Taiwan, Korea. These are the countries which are good with semiconductors. We do not manufacture even the processors. Okay, RAM, nothing gets manufactured in India. We design the things. Okay, we like to work in VLSI designs and the chip design and whatnot. We export that. However, actual manufacturing is done in China as far as processor or some other countries where processors and RAMs and other things are concerned. Even if you see when Apple or Samsung is moving into India, they are not moving the fabrication plant, they are moving the assembling plant where the mobiles are assembled. However, no chip is being produced over here. So that is the major difference as far as major, these are the reasons also we overnight even we boycott the products and whatever, whatever desire we show of being Atmanirbhar, these are the bottlenecks that is going to create the problems. Okay, so that's also the, I think you must have understand political situations, policy matters, material cost, supply chain management, the company itself is a company, finance of the company, that all matters. By the way, I forgot to tell you that from here to here, this absolute dream run of this particular share, it happened all because of the company said that we will be going zero carbon emission by 2025. So that is the major thing. And then in this particular what you say in these 2 months, company literally got many contracts. One of the major was a 2 gigawatt power plant to be installed, and the company won the contract. So my point is that here, it's of course this disclaimer is that I'm not going to suggest Adani Green, or I'm not getting anything from Adani. But my point here is to tell you how things will be related. And this is how engineering and economics and everything, politics, everything works. And this is how the world runs. It is not that, just you will look at current and voltage and everything will be great. It never happens something like that. Okay, so this is, I think, of course, we can talk about this particular thing a lot, but I think I have made my point. Now, so as I've said, this particular lecture I'll be concentrating on introducing you and to introduce you to the larger picture. So the topic is obviously introduction over here. And when I'm placing something on my slides, there is always a meaning for this. I think we have discussed this in our last, at least one batch was with me when we discussed about the illumination system design. Whatever you put on slide, there should be some meaning. Then obviously you must have guessed it, that this particular map also has got some meaning. Can you identify that one country in orange, brick orange color? Anyone?
Is it the Netherlands?
What? Name of the country?
Netherlands.
No, Netherlands is a bit above that. Netherlands is the Scandinavian country.
Spain.
Huh?
Spain.
It's France.
France is left down.
Portugal.
Portugal fan. No, it is near to the Spain.
Germany.
Yes, this is Germany. This is indeed Germany. Okay. Now, Germany is a cold country, right? This is because towards the north side, this is Germany. But then this map is the per capita energies production. Now, see the difference, and you will appreciate that when I show you some slides. That although India gets more sunlight, China can produce more what you call it as panels and solar cells. Still, Germany is a country which has got one of the highest per capita what you say energy production. And other party, Germany perhaps is the only country which has got a negative consumption. It means that their consumption is going down. Normally, our electricity consumption goes on increasing, right? So these are this is another aspect. And in most of the European countries, they are quite fast forward, and country like France has said that we will not produce internal combustion engines vehicles after 2020. Some are going absolute nuclear. Country like Iceland is absolutely now 100% renewable. Okay, so this is what something great is happening in Europe. And fortunately or unfortunately, although we should be the leader in this particular aspect, yet we are not. We are lagging behind, and you will slowly understand why this is the problem. So as far as this module is concerned, why solar, how exactly we are going to achieve that. Then we have got 3 generations of solar cell. You might have, of course, you have heard about 3G, 4G, 5G. So similar, we have generations in solar cell as well. Whatever installations you see, blue colored solar cell, they are normally the first generation solar cells. Then obviously, but it has got a problem, and we need some solutions. Then there are second generation solar cells. So people try to find out the solutions and improve the first generation. And nowadays, whatever is in the research, or to some point, it is also being transferred. Technology has been transferred, and that we call it as the third generation solar cell. So we are going to take the overview of all these things. So to begin with, the solar energy conversion. So obviously there is a sun, and then there are a few types of the solar energy what we convert. First one is the solar thermal, where we increase the kinetic energy and ultimately heat is generated. So if you are using water for bath in a thermal system, this is what we exactly do. Another one is photochemical, so photosynthesis. So there increase in P, and ultimately there will be a chemical reaction. So storage is essentially in form of chemical. In thermal, obviously the storage is heat. And what we are going to see here is the photovoltaic group, where we are going to increase the potential energy, and this is achieved by a charge separation. So we have two charges, positive and negative. If we what you say, separate them, and then if we elevate one of the rather both of the charges with respect to their ground energy level, that is called as the increase in the potential energy. And obviously when we put a circuit, this increased potential energy will be used to drive the current in the circuit. So this is what the fundamental difference between these three technologies. Now, as far as photovoltaic and solar thermal or chemical is concerned, basic thing is light. So how light is going to affect their performance or the outcome, obviously that remains common. Now, as far as this solar PV is concerned, it is not something new. And I think we know photoelectric effect, for which Einstein got the Nobel Prize. However, solar PV is a bit old, and to be precise, this is a French physicist, Edmond Becquerel, who discovered the photovoltaic effect in 1839. But somehow, nothing was really working, because always it's the need that drives the innovations and the discoveries and research and development. So in 1930s, probably people, this photoelectric effect and everything came up. Then in you will see that in 1980s, really this solar PV started to what you say started to increase as far as the market share is concerned. We'll talk about that later. So as far as solar PV is concerned, these are the three what you call it as wheels which we need to spin so that we can achieve something. Okay, so it's not just the engineering. Okay, it has to be related with the economics, because ultimately it's the cost that is going to affect. And then whenever we talk about this economics, the physics has to support. There might be certain principles, physics principles, which will give you very high efficiency, but achieving those efficiency cannot be possible with a low technologies, and that's why the economics will prohibit you from opting that route. However, that is where the importance of research and development comes, so that we research and decrease the cost of this, so that it becomes viable. So solar PV is, as I've said, is an interdisciplinary approach. So we have to start from the material and we have to go to the end use. So we can divide this whole thing into roughly four parts. So first of all is the semiconductor production, that is silicon production itself, from the raw ore to the purified material. Then next we go for cell manufacturing. Then the assembly or the panel productions, we collect so many cells and make a module. Then we go for too many modules so that we can go for a plant, and ultimately we put it for power production in various ways. It may be building integrated, standalone, or the grid integrated. So now you can see these are the four stages. So if there is no vertical integration, the problem of supply chain management comes into picture that I was talking about. So you can see semiconductor silicon is produced in certain countries like Canada and some European countries. However, the cell manufacturing is located in China mostly, and that is where the whole bottleneck is. So if the supply chain from China is affected, the whole assembly, panel production, power plant, everything is going to affect. Now, whenever I talk about the production, let me clear that thing here itself. We are talking of two things. One is the power production and one is the cell production. So cell production means how many cells I will be producing so that some power will be produced. So this unit is also megawatt, and power plant unit is also megawatt. So kindly keep that in mind. So sometimes I'll be talking about the cell production, which is in megawatt, and sometimes I'll be talking in power production, which is also in megawatt. So don't get confused in that. So obviously we have this what you say, 4 steps, and then simply put a panel, then put some charge controller, which is going to control your voltage, current, and everything. So signal systems basically, which if we require, we can use battery system for the storage wherever this continuous use is not available. Obviously, in a grid connected, we do not have battery. However, in certain places, we have battery integrated grid systems as well. We call it as hybrid systems. So from battery, obviously, we are going to get DC power, and then we can put the inverters if we need the AC power. So this is how we can convert solar to electrical. And this is interesting because it is one of the direct conversion of electricity. So the losses, as of course we know, if there are less number of stages, the losses are going to be less, and the whole system is going to be efficient. So what are the advantages? Obviously, it's a solar power. It's free. Free in the sense the fuel is freely available to us. Simply put us a panel and we get the electricity. We don't have to do anything. It is renewable because obviously the sun is going to be there for millions of years. It is a mature technology. As I've told, in 1980s, when there was a problem in the oil sector, the US started facing problem because of oil. They started, working on this. Obviously, since 1950s, 60s, solar cells were already used in space exploration. So it was not new. However, it was meant for space. It has got some other optimization parameters. For terrestrial application, it began real improvement. And in 2000 onwards itself, it was a mature technology, and the silicon was the main material. And in 1950s itself, Bell, AT&T, they started working on BJTs and diodes and everything. So silicon was absolutely mature. We were even producing microprocessors. So compared to that, the solar PV is much more easier. And then we started really researching for how to improve the efficiency, and by this time it is absolutely a mature one. Another advantage is modular. Means you get a single module which will have some capacity, 200, 300 watt capacity. So suppose I want 1 kilowatt, I will put 3 modules. If I now suppose I brought more appliances and my need for power got increased, simply I'm going to put more modules, provided other inverter and batteries and everything has got proper ratings. Point is that it is modular. Okay, so right now, by the way, the largest module is a single module is going to produce around 600 watt, and it uses 10-inch solar wafer. I'll talk about that exactly about that bit later. But such a large modules are available, a single module. Okay, so you keep 1 or 2 modules. I think the need for us, at least for a small household, is done. Zero fuel cost and the direct energy conversion I have already talked about. Now for next few slides, let me give you some some images, and I will discuss few of the aspects. As I've said, this particular lecture, this module, you can relax and you can understand these things, but don't misunderstand that I will not be asking anything in the test. Okay, there will be certain test. I think I forgot. There will be test, and now test taking is easier because everything is online. Okay, so we will have some objective test once in a while, and most of the time the test will be surprise. Okay, because this is online thing, I cannot understand who is there and who is not. It is difficult, so I will not announce any test. All the tests will be of surprise nature. That's for sure. Now this is a solar thermal plant, and now you can see the difference as well. All these blue squares are the reflectors, and they reflect the solar energy, and then it is collected at here, and so the temperature here goes very high, and then it becomes a normal thermal power plant. So instead of heating water and producing steam by burning a coal, now you are concentrating the heat at a very small what you say size reactor, and that is how you produce the heat. The concentrate, this temperature can go about 300 to 400 degrees Celsius, and then we can use the phase change materials, and we can implement heat transfer techniques such that we can produce the steam, and we can produce the we can run the generators out of it. So this is the major difference. You will not find, if you see, this is a typical grid integrated, you will not find anything. There are simply panels. So all these cables will be coming to some collecting point. Normally these are inverters, and they, depending upon the design, you can have 1, 2, or even hundreds of inverters, and ultimately it will be connected to the grid through certain transformer and the substation equipments. So this is the typical grid integrated solar plant. However, there are certain interesting uses that they are already started implementing it, and you will have to know one of the interesting is agro solar. So you can see here the panels are already there, and there is some shade, and down some vegetables are being grown. So here the farmer can have two advantages. First of all, it can produce the electricity for his own, as well as he can sell the electricity. Plus, he do not require a separate land for production and the vegetables. Same land is producing both the things. So now power production is basically a kind of agriculture, right? So this is one of the interesting application. Other things are, see, ultimately solar PV requires space, and for Earth space is limited, and especially where there is a good solar radiation, the space is limited. So we have to probably use every kind of space which is available. And like we have seen here, we are in agro solar, we are achieving 2 objects. Similarly, in floating solar, we are achieving 2 objects. Can you guess what is the second objective that we are achieving by putting such a solar floating solar PV? Anybody? Any guess?
Evaporation.
Yes, absolutely. There are 3 modes of heat transfer: conduction, convection, and radiation, right? So here the evaporation is a major problem for such a large reservoirs. Now again, you think of a farmer which has got a land, and then he has got this small pond. Okay, so he can put some solar, floating solar as well, and he can produce some what you call electricity as well. So these plants are now will be very common in India as well. L&T is one of the major company which is going for such a plants. And then we have got rooftop. Our NIT as well started 1 megawatt, and rooftop is again gaining importance. Why? Because we already have space. There is no other utilization of this space. Simply put the rooftop solar PV, and in recent policies, this is being encouraged by the government. So that is the advantage, and reliability is self-reliance is what we are looking for. I think you can guess the company. Can you guess the company? What I'm talking about?
Tesla.
Yes, absolutely. This is Tesla. You can recognize it by the car, but that is not the product which I am showing you here. Rather, the product which I am showing you here is the solar roof. So these are basically tiles. You have seen the mud tiles, right, on the house. Roof is made up of those tiles. Now these are solar PV tiles. So this is again having multi-purpose. Obviously, the protection and usual objective, but apart from that, they produce the electricity, and this is where it becomes very much economical, because your installation cost is the same as otherwise your roof cost. Okay. But you should understand the difference between the rooftop and building integrated. When we see building integrated, it is a part of the building itself. It is not on top of something. So this is a roof itself. So you can also go for facades. Facades are the walls, and literally with the flexible electronics, this is possible. Flexible solar cells, it is possible that you can put it in any shape. And this is again a real building. Okay, this is not a some model or something. So these are called as building integrated PV. But again, we can use it in so many manners. So this is a solar powered parking lot. Okay, so we are saving space now. So if such an electric car comes into, obviously already it is there, we need to charge it, right? And if somebody is in the office for that 8 hours, what that car will do? So it can charge. Plus, we are getting the shade. So multiple objectives are achieved, and we can utilize the space. Otherwise, which will be absolutely will be vacant. Of course, speaking of transportation, people are trying for solar hybrid vehicles where you can put the cells on the car, but the problem is the efficiency, and we'll talk about that a bit later. This is the aeroplane. Then this is a proud moment for us. Indian Railway put this, but this is a simple, you are putting some modules on the trains, but that's a good thing, right? It is producing some electricity. Rather, recent news is that railway is going for putting panels on the side of this track. Whatever the space is vacant, probably they can utilize this particular space. So that is what I'm telling. Ultimately, it becomes the economics is going to drive everything. And whenever we are going to utilize this space, our land cost is absolutely zero because it is already there. We are not going to purchase it extra for this kind of things. And that's why it becomes quite economical. We'll talk about that in detail. But then there are certain interesting uses. You can see the children which are using these solar lamps. Of course, now, although 100% electrification is done in India, but the definition of that 100% electrification is misleading. If there are 20% of the houses gets the electricity in a village, then we call it as 100% electrification. But that is not really 100%. Point number one. Second thing, still nobody talks about the reliability. Power system main requirement from power system is the reliability. So in many villages still, this grid will be failing, some problems will be there, and ultimately they don't get the electricity. Load shedding is now not that much, but in certain parts still it is prevailing, and in such cases this is important. So obviously for poor, this is very much important, and especially I have seen, at least in Odisha, wherever I have traveled, people use it not for illumination. I mean, hardly for illumination. Their major purpose is to charge the mobile. And literally, mobile is more important for them, not to play PUBG or something like that. It is important so that they can call people. So if obviously, I have talked to those people, and I will show the photographs sometime. So they literally, are in need of communication to do their business. For example, I talked with this fisherman, which was around 40-50 kilometers from Rourkela. He finished his fishing, then he got some fishes, he called somebody in Rourkela, fixed the price, and then that person from Rourkela came to his place. He sold the fish. That's all. The things are done. So crucial thing was the mobile, and it needs to be charged. And let me tell you, they still use those entry-level feature phones. They are not using any Android or something. So the requirement is also very little. And they all go to bed by 7, 8, or 9. And rather, they enjoy the things more beautifully. Sometimes you can visit them and understand their lifestyle. Yeah, I'm very sure you will be envy of it. Anyway, so especially in Africa, this is a major concern where the electrification is very low. So such panels are really helping them. But then there are certain other, interesting features. You can see this is one of the posts on Twitter. I found it. So she is using that panel so that she can fry the buttas. Okay, this Kabon Park is in Bangalore, by the way. Kabon Park, if somebody goes to Bangalore, this is a very interesting place, and around that as well, there are some very interesting places to visit, including the Vidhan Saudha. So this is how people are using it. Even a chai wala or a tapri wala, he wants some light. So instead of using kerosene, which is costly and difficult to get, better to install a solar panel. And especially the Karnataka is very good in this, especially their microfinancing scheme. See, again, I'm talking of economics. Ultimately, these things should be viable to the people, and the major driving factor here is the economics. And that's why the financing companies, which are NGOs and for betterment of society, they supply such a devices to people. Even MNRE and so many NGOs, they are distributing the lamps and whatnot. But then there are certain, what you call it as heartening uses of this. You cannot guess what is the application here. So let me tell you. There is a panel, and whatever the box, aluminum box you see, is basically a refrigerator. Okay, and you will understand that if there is no electricity, we cannot refrigerate the vaccines. And if a vaccine is open for say 5-6 hours, it is gone. It is of no use. So when we are talking about, especially in this corona crisis, you will understand the importance of these hospitals and what you call it as medical facilities. See, if there is no electricity in one of the rural areas or say tribal areas, most of you are from Odisha, so you can understand. And if there is, let us say, snake bite, what will happen? If it is a venomous snake, definitely that person is going to die within few hours. And if he doesn't get vaccine, it is problem, and vaccines cannot be available unless it has got electricity. Okay, so these are the problems. Electricity is one of the crucial need, and then we need certain other aspects so that we can do. And speaking of this need, I would suggest one of the movie. This is again a true story I recently watched, the boy who harnessed the wind. So whatever I have spoken in this last 5 or 10 slides, if you want to really understand what are the problems and how the social fabric is related to energy and the availability of electricity, please watch this. He also has this Kampangwai has also hosted one TED lecture. You might have seen even some of you. So please go through it so that you can understand what exactly I want to tell. Because you, me are not the real what do you say one who has faced the problems. Okay, but these fellows, they have really faced the problems, and that's why their word has got more weightage than what I am saying sitting in this AC room. So that is all about, in general introduction. So let me now put some statistics and then we will stop. So maybe for next 15-20 minutes, I'll talk about some statistics, some numbers. And these numbers, let me tell you, are very, very encouraging. So here, this is the world map and this is the power potential. So how much a country can produce. Darker reddish is the map. Obviously, the power production is great. And see the irony, the Sahara Desert, they have oil and they can produce the maximum power. Only in some part of US and see the Tibet, even India is not that, green, reddish. And see the European, as I've said, they have got very low power potential, but still as they are advanced, they can go for more installations, and that's why they have succeeded. But then, the real countries which can benefit from this is between the Tropic of Cancer and Tropic of Capricorn, and this zone is called as the torrid zone. And speaking of this torrid zone, why it is good, there is something related with this, and it is called as International Solar Alliance of 121 countries, which normally lie partially or fully in this torrid zone. And we should be proud because this particular alliance has been initiated by India. India is the proposer for this particular alliance, and that is going great. That is absolutely going great. And we can see the outcome of this in few more years, where India and with certain collaborations, it will become one of the technologically and power advanced with respect to power production as well. So this is something very interesting for us, and this is where the world is going. So if we talk about the numbers, you can see it is absolutely exponential growth. This is a non-linear, this is a log scale. So every year we are adding, so many gigawatts that this is a bit old graph, we have obviously surpassed this, but just to make a point, by the way, some of the statistics might be old, and some of the statistics might not be matching, because what happens is solar PV is going so fast that if I have to change the slides, I have to do it every 3 months or so. Okay, and after 1 year there are so many changes, so some of the changes I have not accommodated. Okay, because already the point is made. These statistics are not to remember or something, but to get the idea what is exactly happening over here. So you can see the cumulative figures are going up and up, and if you see the total installed capacity, I think your power system fundamentals are clear. The installed capacity is very large in China and Japan and USA and UK. India is not even near. If we talk about the numbers, China has got 10 times installed capacity than India. However, if you see the year-wise capacity, we have added the most in particular last year. I think it was about 10 gigawatt or something. So now if we crop this crop this resources map for India, now you can see as far as India is concerned, you can clearly see Gujarat, Rajasthan, then the Deccan Plateau, this is the Nagpur Plateau, and the Tamil Nadu. So these are the vital regions where you can see the reddish one. So it means that annual irradiance, what they are getting is the highest. So obviously these states are the leaders as far as solar PV is concerned, but others are also coping up. Now here again, the policy and economics is going to affect. This is a bit old map, but still it prevails. You can see Gujarat, Rajasthan; these are the leading ones. So obviously it is a one-to-one mapping. We can see these are the latest figures, and you can see the leader one is Karnataka, 22%. Okay, then Rajasthan, Gujarat, as I've said, Maharashtra, MP, Tamil Nadu, Telangana, Andhra Pradesh, all these which are on those plateaus. It is easy for them to implement this solar PV, and obviously these are also the for this you require many things. First of all, there should be a will. Next thing, that it should have a policy, right? A framework is led on national level, but this is a matter of it's a state subject. Okay, so state decides on all these things. So of course this power and energy is something which is done by both the state as well as the center. So they go hand in hand. We'll talk about those agencies later, and they go hand in hand, and they produce these things. So as far as grid connected is concerned, of course, still it is largely done by the coal, about 55%. But interestingly, this renewable is about 24%. Now, large hydro is something debatable, whether it is renewable or not. So that's why normally it is cited separately. Then nuclear, we are also going for nuclear, but the percentage is still low. And as far as the renewables are concerned, we can further segregate them, and we can see that wind and solar, these are the leading ones. But interesting thing is the biomass. Now, India, let me remind you, still about 60+% people rely on the agriculture, and then agricultural waste, that itself is a biomass, and we can use it to integrate, and we can use it to produce the power. You must know the case of Delhi, right? And in Delhi there is smoke, and Delhi becomes polluted, especially in December, because of the burning of these leftovers, agricultural leftovers in Punjab and Haryana, right? So now, instead of burning it in open air, if we utilize it as a biomass, then definitely our two problems can get solved. So linear, non-linear growth, India is also experiencing, and you can see every time it is more than what we have installed in previous years. This is the cumulative, and ultimately it is increasing. And right now we have got about 37 gigawatt of that. And then see, there are certain things we should be proud of as an Indian, and we don't know because media doesn't talk about that. We don't prepare memes and share it on Facebook, but this is something you can share it on, we should share. You can see the largest solar PV parks. Interestingly, it is half of them are in India. Half of them are in India, and there are some more coming up. It's not the end of the world. Okay, so Pavagada Solar Park, this is bit old data, Now there is a Badala solar park. It is in Rajasthan. As I said, Rajasthan, Gujarat is one of the leading ones, and we have got many economic zones which have been permitted, especially in the less habitant area. And this is one of the biggest solar park in terms of generation. However, it is second largest in terms of area. So how area is related to the size, that we will see in a while, and you can see the area 14,000 acres. So our campus is 1,000 acres roughly. It is 14 times bigger than that, 14 times larger than that. So you can imagine, and this is what we are installing. And not only that, this is obviously we are talking about PV. Similarly, you can find out the wind farms which are in Tamil Nadu, which are too big, on the Karnataka Tamil Nadu border. So many plants are coming. Also, the PV plants are coming up. Then another thing is always the MNRE, that is Ministry of New and Renewable Energy. That is a new name given to the ministry because now everything is dominated by renewables. So that's why they included it. And then every year this gives the policy, and this is the major ministry which is which is as an umbrella for other agencies. They give the targets and they also keep track of achievements. They make the policies and whatnot. And the great thing is we have achieved the targets. We are best at it as far as renewables are concerned. There is something called as Paris Agreement. You might know that Trump pulled out of that agreement few months back, citing that he is against the global warming. He says that global warming is not really happening. So that's why he pulled, citing that US is spending too much and whatnot. So it was a big blow to Paris Agreement. However, India is committed, and this is where the chance for India to become a leader. Okay, see, China is creating the problem, and then India is the major market. India has got vision, and India is going for Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. So this is where we are really good at it, and we have said that the achieving 40% of its total electricity generation. So if we are producing 100 gigawatt, 40 gigawatt should be produced by the renewables by 2030. And do you know the figures? Just by 31st March 2020 itself, we have achieved 35.86 of the installed capacity. So we have, in next 1 or 2 years, probably we will be surpassing the target which is given to us. So this is where we are leading. So that's why Paris Agreement is based on the common interest of hundreds of countries, but then we have set up our own target, 275 gigawatt of renewables by 2027. So that is what we are leading. So solar missions, the new policies, India going for installation of new semiconductor fabrication units, which will be helpful for reducing the cost further. And the relations with obviously political relations, everything, and political will, everything is driving this, and that's why we can really become the leader as far as the renewables are concerned. Now, as an electrical engineer, the next slide is very, very important to us, and you can easily guess why I am showing it. So there is a saying by Edison. Now again, Edison versus Tesla battle. Tesla was a researcher. Edison was a businessman, remember. So obviously he was talking about the economics, and of course this is the actual statement. But if I have to put it in a simple sense, he said that we will make electricity so cheap that only rich people will burn the candles. Okay, so and that is what exactly we are doing, and rather which is happening because of all these things. November 16, when I started this course 3-4 years back, Piyush Goyal quoted with a very proud that NTPC solar bid was 4.63. That 5 rupees per unit was the target. And now, last year, when I made this slide, it was reduced further below 2.6 rupees per unit. But wait, that is not all. The latest prices are 2.44 rupees per unit. And let me tell you, these prices are lower than the coal, what we call it as produced by the coal. Okay, and this phenomena is called as grid parity. So renewables are producing electricity cheaper than the non-renewable things. So you can see that this is one of the major factor, but price is supported by something else. So so I will stop at this particular moment because already it is 55 minutes. So whatever, how exactly everything is related, price, the production, installation, and the technology, physics, that we are going to see in next lecture. And what is the research going on, that we will be looking in a next lecture. However, there is one problem on Friday. I already have got some prior assignment on Friday. So this lecture at 5:15 may not be, rather it is not available. I am not available for the lecture. So can we shift that lecture? Can somebody suggest what could be the alternatives? Hello?
Anytime Saturday, sir. Anytime Saturday.
Saturday, is it okay for you, so everybody? So if anybody has got problem, just message me. So at what time? 5:15. Is it okay?
Sir,
Yes, sir.
what about Thursday 5:15?
Thursday. You
Yes,
might have
sir.
some lecture. Somebody might have some lecture. That's the issue. Okay. So let us fix. As of now, we will fix it as Saturday 5:15. Okay.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
Yeah. Okay. And any questions regarding this particular lecture? Any doubts? Anything to discuss?
Till now, no, sir. Till now, no, sir.
No? Okay. So obviously, I encourage you to do the post the questions. I will also tomorrow I will send some links and all that so that you can explore more whatever we are whatever I'm going to tell you. And any suggestions? Anything before we start, because this is the beginning. That's why I'm asking. No. Okay. Intermittently, I will be posting the slides here or here itself. So no Moodle is required. Everything can be done on this platform itself. Okay. So anyways, thank you very much. We'll stop here. We'll meet, as of now, we'll meet on Saturday. Okay. Unless otherwise we reschedule it. So thank you very much. Enjoy your evening. Thank you. Bye.
Hello.